So good morning, hello and welcome, good afternoon to the audiences worldwide, and welcome to my session today about Amazon Global Selling and brand building. Today it's an honor it's my pleasure actually to talk to you about, thank you for the presentation. All right, hello again to everybody. So it's my pleasure to talk to you about a special guest, Sofia Belcadi, who I will introduce later, and of course you here in the audience to talk about the brand building opportunity in Amazon Global Selling, and what opportunities or how Amazon can support you in the experience of creating a global brand. So I have a little bit of a technical issue here. So. But that should be fixed. Apologies for that. Maybe first, of course, also to me as a person. So my name is Rolf. I'm leading the Amazon Global Selling business here in Germany. I'm worked with Amazon since like 2012, so I'm kind of a dinosaur. We are a team here in Europe with 80 account management, product managers, program managers based in London, Berlin, and Hyderabad. And what we basically do here is we support European brands or European brand owners, European sellers to expand globally with Amazon. And I just quickly wanted you to start this presentation or today with a couple of key facts to like remind ourselves what Amazon is, what tools do we have, what kind of opportunities and support we could provide to sellers and our partners. So before we're going to start into the fireside chat opportunities. So here is a little bit of an overview of the Amazon global presence. So you see basically that worldwide we have more than 20 global stores on Amazon. Worldwide we also have more than 300 million worldwide active customers. We operate more than 180 fulfillment centers worldwide. And our customers actually are in more than 200 countries and territories worldwide. And maybe also it's really important from an Amazon point of view as an Amazon seller that we have more than 150 million Prime customers worldwide. And our sellers, also probably like you guys here in the audience, you're basically based in more than 130 countries in the world. So this is more or less our global presence. And what we're going to be talking about later with our special guest also as well, and how you can leverage this kind of network and service and the connection of all of these components in your global brand building. And we're also going to talk a little bit about those topics and how you can use this from a brand owner perspective in terms of advertisement and brand building. So we are going to touch base a couple of topics on sponsored products, on sponsored brands, sponsored display ads, and also on stores. So also always feel free to reach out to our moderators and chatters in the chat rooms and moderator rooms in terms of any kind of questions, so we can go deeper into those topics as well. So it might be very interesting for you. And beyond that also, we are going to touch base a couple of topics which are important in terms of logistics, in terms of like product and manufacturer compliances, tax compliances, which are usually really important for setting up global brands, especially when you talk about brand protection, and also like about tax topics and tax compliance. So just to give you a little bit of an overview what we are going to touch base today. But now basically it's my special honor, and we go directly into the fireside chat about brand building globally with Amazon. And I want to introduce you to my special guest, which is Sofia Belcadi today. So Sofia is basically a very strong and leading example for the more or less very important women empowerment movement. And she is this kind of like leading personality, so to say, not because of her academic and also educational achievements with degrees in like Harvard Business School, London School of Economics, École Polytechnique in France, but also because of her like achievements in big corporations and more or less also today as an entrepreneur. So Sofia is also like an impressive entrepreneur by now from France. She's the founder and the CEO of 1001 Remedies. basically like an award-winning e-commerce well-being brand, and we are going to talk about that later. She also operates a startup for algorithm and data or data-driven decision-making in e-commerce. But now also, Sofia, we're going to go back on big and camera just for you to introduce yourself as well, and then I'm going to pull up the slides with your store. So we're going to push us here a bit bigger at the moment.
Hi, Rolf.
So welcome, Sofia.
Thank you very much. Hi, Rolf. It's really nice. Thank you for inviting me here, and I'm quite excited today to share my experience on selling on Amazon. So, I'm Sofia. My academic background is in sciences, including chemistry, and I have a professional background in algorithmic investing before becoming more recently an entrepreneur and founding an e-commerce well-being business called 1001 Remedies. So, at 1001 Remedies, we aim to improve people's quality of life by offering natural, sustainable alternative solutions for stress and sleep, home detox, and skin well-being solutions. And Amazon has been basically one of the platforms that we are using for international expansion. So we sell basically well-being products. So for stress and sleep, home detox, gifting, and skin well-being issues. So initially, when we conceived the brand, it was the brand basically is inspired from my family's heritage. So I have an uncle who is a pharmacist, a aromatherapist, and he used to prepare botanical remedies for us for cold and flu and so on. And basically, it inspired me. I knew the essential oils were working and the formulas were working. So I partnered with a French lab, and this is how 1001 Remedies was born. So initially, we started off Amazon because everybody was telling us that aromatherapy in aromatherapy it was important to have this sensorial experience for the customer, and that it couldn't go online basically, and it would be more successful offline. But I guess so these advisors were quite wrong, and actually we discovered from actually a forum that other people were expanding on Amazon, and we started looking at that, and Amazon was a fantastic platform to launch on and just take off the business.
So cool. Amazing. So first of all, I mean, also like for the audience, I put up the presentation again to just see a little bit like the appearance and the product. So there's a couple of screenshots here. So first of all, congratulations also that you started already just like with your brand and made it so successful. And that you also like included your family heritage in here. So maybe Sofia, tell us a little bit, like, why did you choose Amazon first of all, like also as a distribution channel to build your brand? And then we go a little bit into the topics, how you started and how you expanded on Amazon.
Yeah, sure. So I guess basically after talking to a few buyers in the physical distribution world, I realized that I would leverage more my strength by developing the e-commerce side of the business that resonated more with my algorithmic background, etc. And obviously, and then when I started to research, basically Amazon is an unavoidable so actor in the e-commerce space, and actually a great way to launch in the e-commerce because you have so much support from a logistics side, tax side, compliance side, etc., that if you had to do it all alone, it would have been much more difficult. So great basically platform to launch. Yeah.
All right. So hard to word is also really like interesting expression. Where did you become aware about this kind of a distribution? I believe like you knew Amazon before as a customer, but then you basically started to decide to like also like leverage this store as from a professional point of view. Have you been aware of the topics that you could sell on Amazon before that, or only when you actually started to research it?
I was a customer of Amazon myself, shopping, but I was doing it more for, I would say, FMCG goods that I was not buying beauty typically on Amazon, etc. And then I realized that Amazon had actually, a premium beauty division, that they had like started to attract very high-end brands like, Sisley and, all the likes. And so, and this is where basically my perception of Amazon as a distribution channel for our brand changed. And I thought that it could be actually a fantastic opportunity to launch there.
Okay, cool. And then, tell us a little bit about like your story. So you started to sell in your home country, or how did you like basically kicked off your like initial idea into practice?
Yeah, so basically, so the products are made in France and we're based in the UK. So we started launching, we launched first in the UK because the logistic was easier given that our warehouse was in the UK, etc. And then like just a few months later, launched in France. And we saw like a good basically market fit in both countries right away, because in UK like herbal medicine is quite developed, and there is like a big demand for natural organic products in general, that are high quality and so on. And in France, you have like the aromatherapy heritage is quite deep, and pharmacies, etc., are using already aromatherapy. Some doctors as well. So these were like the natural, I would say, market fit in Europe for us.
All right. I mean, this is something which we also like experience or observe at least a lot among like new startup brands, for instance, that they start in the home marketplace. In terms of like your personal market research or something, when you were looking into I don't know, like also data, you have come from a strong data background. Did you like investigate a little bit of like studies where to start first with your brand? Was there some kind of brand awareness already in your home marketplace? How did you define your customer audience, and then decided where to go next and bring this kind of vision of building a global brand into place? Or where to start first?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Actually, for one of the frustrations we had when we started to have B2B distribution, etc., it was that we didn't have access to any of the customers, but most importantly, we didn't understand who was our customer. And, we didn't have enough data relayed by those stores. We didn't have enough, depth and insight. So for someone who is data driven and likes, to dive into, what customers are looking for, why do they buy your products, who are they, and try to build this customer audience that will build the brand later on, because this is how you add new products to the range, etc., etc. I think Amazon has done like a fantastic job into empowering sellers with that data, because once it's your own trademark and your own brand, etc., you can register to brand analytics and have like so much data on the customer queries and how people would even label your products, how like what are they looking for when they type up, so and this has been, like, to be honest, extremely precious to develop the brand further for us, because not only it's enabled us to build further the customer profile, but it also gave us ideas of the next products and what could work actually, and what are the customer problems, and how we could even position better our products and improve them to answer customers' demand. So I think that from a data perspective, I think that the platform is Amazon platform is very rich in providing all these insights, and also basically and it goes like very granular to the customer search queries and so on, which is very difficult, to be honest, to obtain in any type of other platform or B2B distribution or other distribution channels. So,
and let me ask you, like, did you start this kind of like research before you even launched on Amazon, like with those public available information, like the sales ranks, the categorizations, top sellers in subgroups and so on, or are you already referring to the experience after you launched?
I think when we started on Amazon, we were not like proper, experts. So I think at that time we did a bit of research, but with some, public tools available that
Yes.
are, like Helm 10, like, that are actually compatible with Amazon and give you some data through the API, the Amazon API. I think right now it has become like part of our processes. There is nothing that is not launched before basically before basically there is like a full research, etc. But at that time we were building those systems and trying to understand how to leverage that data. So so I guess obviously having access to brand analytic, even like just the Amazon search bar, gives you an idea of what's going on, in that subcategory. So and coupled with more sophisticated tools such as that are public tools and that's tap in Amazon API, then you can get a pretty good idea on how your product is going to perform.
All right, and then you started, and then you made your plan. I mean, you said already that you started in the UK, and then shortly after with France, all in 2016, if I informed correctly. How did you make this decision to start in these countries, and then also expand to the next countries? What was the order?
Right. So I'll give you the actual order that we did, and I'll give you how I would redo it again. So
all right, perfect. I wouldn't remember follow-up questions anyhow.
Yeah. So I guess okay. So the way we did it is we launched in our home marketplaces, so UK, France. Then shortly after that, like few months down the road, we've been incubated by Amazon Accelerator, and then in Europe. So it kind of gave us a lot of support and ground to actually just build more that brand awareness and the business in Europe, etc. So we followed that plan, and more recently we expanded to the US, and UAE. So this was the order for us in terms of global expansion. I think that, however, with Brexit and like the latest changes, if I had to redo it again, probably I would do it in a completely different order. Yeah.
Okay. What would be the order and why?
So I think that if I had to redo it again, I would probably start with the US marketplace. Because once you have put the logistics, compliance, everything, there is a bit of work to do, obviously, upfront. But once you have put like the foundation, I would say, in place, it's a bigger marketplace to scale, and you have the scale right away. And in US, you don't have necessarily to be even if you're not ranked as well as in the Europe, etc. Basically, you still have a good market share, and you can still do a good amount of sales. So I would say, US. I would choose US because it simplifies US first, because it simplifies considerably the process. Once you have put the foundation in place, you don't have to do local compliance in different countries, and then local customer service in different languages, and then all of that. So I think that the scale-up process, once you've done your homework and you have a strong foundation, the scale-up process is much easier to follow.
All right. So basically, just because of the size of the marketplace, the customer base, as I showed earlier, I mean, most.
Yeah, and US is about, Amazon US is about 50 to 60% of retail in the States. And, people are quite familiar with, basically they're used to buy everything from Amazon, from beauty, etc. While in some countries in Europe, it's still people are still, a bit picky. So, so I think if I had to redo it again, I'd probably start with US and then expand to Europe.
I mean, I don't know, the 50 to 60% data point, Excel, and what you mean. Maybe we need to follow up on that one. But in terms of comparison, within the Amazon stores worldwide, the US is for sure the largest marketplace, which still generates 50 to 60% of the worldwide revenues of Amazon. But I think there's a lot of other retail distribution channels in the United States next to Amazon as well. Like, I don't know, like which number you were referring to, but overall,
Probably
I think it's
e-commerce, in the e-commerce space.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
Within the e-commerce space, yeah, it's about.
I don't know. I'm not so sure, but I mean, would be good. But nevertheless, I think it's a comparison within the Amazon universe. It's definitely a very important component to consider, because the entire world also like shops on Amazon.com. There's definitely the first destination store or purchasing store before they go probably to an Amazon.de. I mean, that's smaller for sure. And the global customer base is then also smaller, who purchases on Amazon.de versus on Amazon.com. When you like launched your brand, or when you had the idea, did you plan it right from the beginning, or was it your vision to build a global brand, or did you started smaller and then this idea developed over time?
Yeah, so it's a good point. So basically, I think that's our idea was to be global from day one, because we were not targeting like a customer in a specific country, but rather people that had a certain lifestyle, you know, healthy habits, yoga, you know, lovers, people who basically were like very eco-conscious in the products that they were also using, because that was our customer profile, basically people who put into question, were reading about the ingredients and, you know, the harmfulness and so on. So for us, like Amazon enabled the global growth quite quickly, because and allowed us to target like a lifestyle customer rather than try to target like a country development.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, this is something which we also see. The targeted audiences or the customer base of your products, that rather defined by global lifestyle, hobbies, certain way of living, passions, and so on, rather than by country borders. I think this is a running out of fashion model to like look at like audiences from that perspective. So when you have envisioned this already, did you also make sure that from a compliance point of view, like the product labeling, the ingredients, you were referring to setting the foundation? I think we're going to talk about it more from a logistic point of view as well. But from the pure product idea at the beginning, did you cover all of these thoughts before you even like started creating it, or did you also develop this over time and then you had to make some changes in the production or in the labeling process after a while?
So for us, basically, we kind of incorporated this consideration in the product development, so upfront. So basically, the global expansion was something that we planned all the way. So basically, when we started producing, like when we started formulating even our products, we started to think about, you know, bind ingredients in which regions, etc., etc. And the products have been formulated and manufactured in the Cosmetic Valley in France, which is like 35 minutes from Paris. And France has one of the strictest regulations in Europe, basically, and in the world. So we were quite lucky in that sense. It was a lot of it took a lot of time to actually for the product to come to life, because, you know, a lot of testing. For some of the products, we had about 1 year of testing actually. So it was quite frustrating at the beginning, you know, to go through 9 months, 12 months of testing and so on. But at the end, we were quite well prepared to actually, you know, expand right away, because the FDA approval was quite easy with the files, the toxicologist files, and all the testings that we've done and all the approvals we got in France. And the EU complying with the EU directive was also quite straightforward. One thing that I should mention, and we were quite surprised because we thought that complying with the EU directive would actually, you know, be enough to comply with all of Europe, because we thought that it was like one regulation. But we realized over time that actually, in addition to the EU directive, there are like some local compliance local compliance rules that you have. Like, for instance, Germany has additional rules on sustainable packaging, and etc., that you have to comply with. For us, we did those sustainable choices and those basically chose clean beauty ingredients choices at the very beginning when formulating this product and building this product. So we were quite lucky in that sense to have all the compliance foundation already built up due to the choices we've done up front. But we paid the price in terms of the time to launch those products as well.
Yeah. So I mean, so you got lucky that at least like from a more or less like compliance point of view, you were compliant. You just needed to go through the like administrative tasks in order to get like the certifications, the approvals, and so on.
Exactly.
And still, it took you like a year. So it's like it's definitely like a journey which needs to get some planning ahead. But where did you inform yourself about all of these kind of like informations, the hurdles, the barriers before you just to make sure you're on the safe side?
Yeah, of course. So I think compliance is one of the big pillars of the foundation that I was talking about earlier in terms of global expansion, because Amazon basically is a good partner for that, because basically they don't let you do these mistakes of launching products that are not adequate into the market or are violating. So in order to avoid basically getting your listing off or things like that, because there is like a good monitoring of what's going on, and what is selling on Amazon. I think
you would even say that our let's say annoying like gating processes or features which prevent people to like sell immediately when they just basically through the process also have like an upside. They not only secure or save our customers, they also save our sellers not to
because at the end it's the responsibility of the seller to put something there as well, so somehow like it prevents you from doing like any mistakes on the compliance side. So I think that compliance is a very big pillar in that foundation to launch. And for that, like to get help with that, there are some, basically agencies that are compliance experts in the different markets. Like they won't be experts everywhere. Some of them like are actually experts in US. Some of them like are more like familiar with Europe, and some of them are just global. So so there are a lot of partners. Like labs can also help sometimes, manufacturing labs. Some of them have also some compliance division, etc. But given that it's all done on your behalf, I think it's safe. Also, it's safer to actually get involved and try to understand that all the different rules are checked, and that you're 100% compliant. And finally, I think that and Amazon has also a number of partners. So in Amazon you can find like something called the global marketplace, I think, or the global partner.
I think you refer to the service provider network, maybe.
Yes, exactly, the service provider network, and they give you basically contacts in the different areas that you need. So I know that, for instance, in the UAE marketplace you can find that, and basically they can, they show you pretty much. They give you contacts within the different areas where you could need basically help.
All right. And from a brand perspective also, did you register your brand like globally in multiple countries, in one country, or one after a while? Or how did you like protect your brand right from the beginning of Amazon and also on Amazon?
So for us, basically, we protected our brand first by depositing the trademark of Amazon. So right away, basically, when we started launching, etc., we registered in the UK and the EU right away, because it's you can leverage basically one registration to do like a more to add countries basically in Europe and so on. So and then a few months later, we trademarked in the US. So all of that before even putting our listing listings on Amazon. And then once we launched on Amazon, we brand registered right away. I think it's quite important because it prevents your trademark. You never know. I mean, your products could be actually bestsellers, and it actually prevents all your hard work from getting just hijacked and stolen away.
Especially if they are bestsellers already, right? And they are even more under like observations from potential competitors as well. So let's also talk. So you did the brand registry immediately. Tell us a little bit more about also like how to build your brand. Like how did you set them up? What does it differ also where are like the unique or most important differences that you observed as a brand owner in multiple marketplaces in order to build that brand?
So I think in terms of brand building, so I guess a good chunk of it is done. It's important to do it off Amazon and on Amazon, like on both sides, because basically the audience and so on, you're sending somehow, you're building awareness a bit, everywhere, and then you're sending that traffic to the store. So within Amazon world, ways to build brand awareness is the A+ content, because it gives you additional, building blocks and so on to give more content to your audience, and just like basically through video or just through having like a building block, etc., have like more so that your customers have more to the story of what's behind the product, given that Amazon is organized from like category and product perspective, so it gives like that personal touch. Then I guess also there are additional tools that are available right now in the US to build further and engage further the audience through the follow button, for instance, on the store, or the engagement newsletters in the US, etc. So these are like tools where you can basically engage new audiences and just get discovered and increase your brand awareness.
All right, and this is also like an interesting point since you just like also mentioned. What we get is the feedback also from many sellers, especially also maybe referring to what you said before or earlier about where to go first. There's like a lot of, because Amazon is an American company and US is our biggest marketplace, the tools are usually launched there. You were mentioning a couple of tools for brand building. How or where did you like? What are the biggest the tools which you used already in the United States, which are maybe not yet available but helped you a lot also in terms or in order to build your brand?
So yeah, some of them are the ones that I mentioned. So the follow, because you're building an audience, the Amazon posts, the engagement newsletters, the customer reviews as well, when you can contact the customers right away with negative reviews, or the ones that I think this feature has been launched, I think globally now in a few months back. So all of that basically maintain this brand, and the stores. So the stores are also available worldwide. So all of this like basically enables you to build that brand awareness around not just a single product or a single need that the customer has, but rather give them like the breadth of what the brand is about.
All right, and getting apparently some questions pushed through, but I don't see them at the moment. So 1 second here. Quickly on, we're done here. So quickly asking or commenting on a couple of questions which I have been seeing here. So sorry, I need to quickly read this number. So one of the audience people is asking, where could I find penetration figures of Amazon in new Amazon markets like the Netherlands, Belgium, Poland, and Sweden? I don't know, did you look some numbers or penetration numbers from Amazon? Did you launch in Netherlands and Belgium as well?
So we'll not in Belgium. I think Belgium has been launched recently, but we launched in the Netherlands. Actually, we were part of the pilot launch of Amazon when Amazon launched the marketplace themselves, and so we were part. They took like a few brands as pilots basically, and we were part of that. I mean, it's. Obviously, it's good to build brand awareness in these marketplaces because they're less competitive than other, for instance, the big sellers in the US. If they have to expand to Europe, they will probably do Germany and maybe UK, and they won't expand elsewhere. So it means that you have like more chance. Your PPC will be probably less expensive depending on the niche you are in. This is not always true, but depending on the niche you're in. So it gives you basically an easier base to build sales quickly through these smaller marketplaces. However, I mean, one has to keep in mind that obviously these are still small, even though Amazon is growing them. I see that Netherlands, there has been like a huge improvement since the launch, since PPC has been enabled. A lot of the tools that are available in the other marketplaces have been enabled also in Netherlands. So I think yeah, one has to keep in mind that those are still small. You can't it will not be the same figures as the big ones, the big marketplaces, but it's good to keep presence in there because it's also less competitive.
Okay, so maybe also from a more top line point of view, what sellers generally use as let's say public data to make a market analysis, they look at the sales ranks and monitor them, the movement in sales ranks. They look at the customer reviews on these kind of products and the shares, and these kind of information definitely already give you some kind of information. One of the questions also from the audience is if you could give a little bit of a different kind of characterization of the different marketplaces you're selling in. So, the US, UK, France. How would you characterize or describe roughly the different marketplaces in the US, in France, and in Germany where you currently, and AE also where you're selling? What is important to customers? Where are the differences you observe?
Yeah, sure. So I think US, yeah, they're very different, even though sometimes it's the same language, for instance, and from US and UK. In US and UK, I think the behaviors are patterns are completely different. So typically, US is the largest marketplace. There are lots of products out there. So what is important is probably the quality of the product, and basically proving that quality is not enough to say quality. So proving that quality, reviews are extremely important. People also spend a lot in marketing, so it means that your budget needs to be also consistent with the ones from the competitors. But at the end, if you manage to rank and you manage to differentiate yourself, it's a great market to scale. UK used to be quite strong before Brexit. Now it's more Germany that is stronger. So basically, I would say so UK. Yeah, and in the US, people are quite sensitive also to price discounts. So in UK, it's a bit different. So obviously deals, etc., and only coupon and so on will work very well. But if you do it too often, it will hurt the brand image, and people are kind of, oh, is it like a discounted brand on Amazon, or is it, So they're more sensitive to the branding, to the image, to the perception of the brand, etc. In Germany, they love natural organic products, etc., and quality products. So quality is also an important factor. And they're very sensitive to price. So coupon work very, very well in Germany because deals, coupon, I mean, everything like promotions, I would say, work quite well because, people are quite sensitive to price. In terms of reviews, they're also quite straightforward. So, they'll tell you honestly, they have like an honest feedback, and they'll tell you right away what's wrong, what's good, what's etc. And I think that the review system, therefore, is very trusted by customers because people are also more straightforward in their reviews. Yeah, so I think that's sets a bit the landscape of the main marketplaces. France, I would say, is smaller but growing, and if you position well your products, if you're French, it's important in France. Like the quality of the listing is important, like because sometimes people translate and actually the translation is quite bad and doesn't make much sense, and it's you can see that it's translated by either non-French speaker or robot or whatever. It's not a good way to go, because French people will be put off by that. So I think it's important to actually have like proper listing worked in the local language properly.
Okay, maybe also like to quickly sum up this from an Amazon point of view. First of all, yes, the United States is one of the biggest marketplaces. The customers there are way more willing to provide feedback and reviews. While, for instance, in Germany, it's very difficult to get customers motivated to write customer reviews. And then also the feedback is honest. Tendency more or less. I think the likelihood that Germans write customer reviews is more when they're not satisfied, and not writing a review is already a positive feedback. And that's very different in the United States. That's why it's also easier to build these topics. One of the other topics also what we observed in terms of advertisement in these emerging marketplaces, because there's not so many sellers already selling, the average cost of sales, the ACoS marketing expenses, they are much lower for the return on invest. So when you decide to where to go next and where to build a brand, it's often also a budget question. You say in US it's very competitive, you need to be super precise in the advertisement section, and it's expensive, but then of course return on invest can be exponential. For other marketplaces, smaller marketplaces, that can be also different, and therefore this kind of decision making can differ from brand to brand, from customer audience, from your own background, from your budgeting point of view. Therefore, these kinds of things should definitely also always be considered. Quickly pulling up another another question here. Okay, that's a question more or less so for those people who are interested also to get in contact with us, just reach out to the chat forums and so on. That's not my last question, how we can cooperate. So we have 2 minutes left already, therefore the time is already up. Unfortunately, we cannot follow up on all of the questions here right now, so apologies for that. Anyhow, audience here in the room, thanks for joining this short fireside chat. There are I'm going to link again to the the global expansion boosters that you can join here on the Amazon Brand Conference. There's also useful downloads which touch base more on also the data topics which you were asking. We explained the tools which we addressed here today, or which also Sofia used for brand building. There's one-on-one appointments possible to use. So first of all, thank you guys very much for joining, and also you, Sofia, thank you very much for giving us all of the insights. If you have one last advice for brand builders, what would it be? What would you tell? What do you want to give the audience?
I guess build your audience, understand it, and build the products in function of your audience and not the other way around.
Right. Cool. Then I think we are through this fireside chat. We're looking forward also for feedback, and yes, please always get in touch with our account management team in the chat rooms, and we're happy to follow up on these kind of topics.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best. Build your brands.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you. It was great.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.